Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. I really enjoy singles, duochromes, multichromes, palettes, blush, highlighter, lately bronzer, lip gloss, basically everything except for pressed glitter. And today we are going to be checking out the High Tide palette from Colourpop, as well as one of their new singles. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me. We're getting into it right now. Okay guys, so I picked this up actually. Listen, I was at brunch with two of my friends today, and we're sitting there and I get the alert on Trend Mood that this palette has already come out, and I thought this palette was not coming out till the 13th of June because that was the circular that Colourpop had put this palette in, that it was like for the 13th through the 19th, whatever. And so I didn't think this was coming out right away. As soon as I saw it come out, I was like, you guys, finish what you're doing, shove your food in your face, we need to go to Ulta right now. And so we kind of wrapped up our meal and headed over there, and when I got there I was searching high and low, like all the new areas, all the little like end caps, the Colourpop section, there was nothing. So I finally asked one of the girls and I'm like, yo, where's this palette? It says it's on your site, it says it's in stock here, I'm gonna need it, wrap it up. And she's like, oh, we haven't even unpacked that yet from our inventory that we just got in our order. And I was like, okay, go get me one. So she went back in the back and brought me one of these palettes, which looks like this. Oh, it looks so pretty. So yes, I was super excited. She also brought me out the Coast to Coral palette, which she mistakenly thought was a new palette. It's not. And then she brought me out the new Flights of Fancy or Fantasy or something like that. It's like that pinky toned palette. I have a lot of pinky tone palettes from Colourpop, so I said, nah, that's okay. And she also brought out the Lust to Dusk palette, which I actually think is very pretty. It's cool toned, which I think is kind of cool, but it was $24, so I was like, I'd rather have this one. So I took this one, and she said that that was actually the only one that they had, so went ahead and swiped that. And as I was continuing to peruse the store, she came back and said, hey, we actually got one of these Super Shocks in too, if you want one of these. I said, sure, why not? Because, of course, I'm like a sucker for these things. They did actually release two Super Shadows with this High Tide palette that are like the teal colors. One is this Sure Thing color, which is, you know, definitely like a glittery teal. It's an ultra glitter finish. The other one is actually a re-release, which is the Super Shock Shadow in Coconut. And this is a pearlized finish, but I actually already owned that one. It was like one of the first Super Shocks I ever purchased, so I was not offered that one, nor would I have picked it up because I already owned it, and I just don't need like duplicates. So I have those two, even though they're in different packaging. I don't care. I'm so excited to dig into this. I did grab a couple of palettes from my collection that are kind of similar in tone, or similar, like I thought that people might be interested in seeing them side by side. But I really don't have a lot of teal in my collection, which is why I was so excited to see this come out, because my collection was missing that. So let me show you some of the comparisons. Now, I'm not going to swatch everything for you because I think that would just get a little bit ridiculous, but I am going to hold everything up for you. This is Ace Beauté Oceanic palette and Colourpop High Tide. Juvia's Place Zulu palette. Colourpop Mar palette. Peachy Queen Tiffany's palette. Beauty Bay Book of Magic, LA Girl Desert Dream, Colourpop Mint to Be, Kaleidos Club Nebula, Pinky Rose Exotic Peacock, Revolution Pro Smoke and Mirrors, Car Beauty Make a Statement Volume 3, Revolution Deep Dive. So as you can see, I have a lot of palettes that have maybe one or two shades that are sort of teal or teal adjacent, but I don't have any like truly teal palettes, which is why I'm so excited to have this one. I did, while I was at Ulta, also pick up the Juvia's Place Bronzing palette, which I have been eyeing for so long. They didn't have the lightest shade, which I'm a ghost usually, so I was kind of concerned about that, but the lady that worked there said the medium is actually still pretty light, so let's see what this looks like. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I definitely think it's a little deeper than some of my other bronzers, but like the Tower 28 bronzer that I use is kind of similar. So we'll give it a try. Why not? So I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to have that too. So let me wash this look off of my face so that we can do a first impressions with Colourpop High Tide. Oh, we gotta zoom in. All right, you guys, and we are going to be trying out the High Tide palette again. Get a really nice look at this palette. It's basically mattes and shimmers. You've got like diagonal here of shimmers. These are all mattes, and then you've got one of these kind of matte with glitter put into it, but I'm not sure that that's really going to show up much glitter wise. So I am so excited to get into this, and none of these are pressed glitters. Like, yay. Let's do two different eye looks so you guys can see a little bit more of this palette in action here. I'm gonna go into Currents, which is the top center shade. My eyes are watering like crazy because I washed everything off with a makeup eraser, which is not the best way to do things, let me tell you. And then I'm gonna go in with the shade Flora, which is this kind of gray toned shade on the side here. Ooh, lots of kick up. Those colors blend together really nicely though. Like you can see them distinctly, but they don't like clash with one another. Which is good, of course. And then I'm gonna go into Lunar, which is this bottom kind of smoky shade. I think on like the very brow bone, I'm going to take this shade Just a Splash, which is the only like matte with shimmer, matte with like little glitter chunks in it. But that looks pretty. And then let's get some glitter glue. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna pick up some of Free Floating and some of Must See and pop those two into this eye look. I'm not sure I put enough glitter glue down because it's actually not very sticky at all. So let's try that again. This color is pretty because it's got like a silver sparkle running through it. That is really pretty. And then I'm going to go into Must See, which is that center shade. Let's pop a little over here. So that's how the first eye is looking. Let me blend this out a little bit. And I do have a little area here that just does not want to pick up pigment, but I honestly think that's because my eye keeps tearing up. Alright, so I like how the top of this eye is looking. Let's switch over to the other eye, and we're going to do an eye look on this side. I've already put down my Milani eye primer, so we're just going to dig in. Now, so far I've used this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, this shade, and this shade. So I really want to focus on these 3 shades for the other eye look. And then I might use a bit of this currant shade again just to have something to blend everything out into. I am having to take this pretty high because of the staining that I had for my other eye look that I did earlier today. I didn't know that I was going to be filming this video tonight, so I wasn't prepared. Alright, so let's go into, I think, New Wave first, and then we'll do Urchin. So those two blend together so nicely. I mean, they're almost like similar, so similar that when you blend them together you really get a nice gradient there. So I like that. I'm going to clean off this brush and go into Urchin, which is this kind of blue shade here. That looks pretty as well. We're just going to blend that out a little bit. I think that looks good. Now let's get glitter primer down. Oh, is this a duochrome? I think Colourpop is giving us some duochrome realness right now. You guys will have to tell me what you see in the comments, but when I'm looking at this, it almost looks like it pulls a little purple from like different angles. That is so interesting. I'm not mad. Okay, let me do a quick face and then we can come back for the lower lash line. So to finish off this face, like to put on my face basically, I used the Pacifica A Light Clean Foundation and the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. That is a really nice duo. I used this e.l.f. Contour palette again, which I've really been enjoying. For blush, I used the Europeach Cheek Kiss Cream Blush from Milani and topped it with Luminoso, which is one of their baked blushes. And then for highlighter, I used the Aether Beauty Supernova Crushed Diamond Highlighter in Pink Diamond Dust. Fantastic product. Now, I did want to come back though so that we could do the lower lash line, but also with the bronzer, because I don't know if this bronzer is going to work for me. I know Juvia's Place stuff is usually like hella pigmented, so we'll try. I think what I might go in with first is actually this bottom shade because it looks a little bit less intimidating. Yeah, definitely pigmented. And I do like the fact that the pans are big enough that you can get like a whole bronzer brush in there, because I tend to use very big fluffy bronzer brushes. Oh my gosh. Okay, and I would say that's like a very healthy amount of bronze. It definitely goes on pretty nicely. I think it has a nice gradient to it. I think especially with this more corally peachy blush, it looks really nice and warm, like I've gotten some sun. I'm happy with that. And that was the medium shade that I used. Color reference wise for my foundation, I am the Cool Light 31CL shade, and the concealer is in Fair Rose. So usually I'm pretty light in tone, but I think I can get away with this. If I wanted to like really dig into the pans, I think I'd be better served with the light shade, but I think with a light hand, this one will work just fine for me. So let's go ahead and finish off the lower lash line for both of these, and then we can get into using these Super Shocks because I want to make sure we use those too. So on the lower lash on this side, I think I actually want to go into Urchin and then fade that into Lunar. So I think that looks pretty. I'm just gonna like quickly buff out the lower lash line with New Wave. That looks pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's do the other side now. For this side, I think I'm going to take New Wave, which is this low center shade, because it's a little bit more green leaning. I had a little bit more luck with this pencil brush. So let's use that. And then we'll fade that into Flora, which is this middle shade here. Not sure if that'll be quite deep enough. It works. And then we'll do a little bit of Currants and kind of buff out that lower lash line. Perfect. Okay, and I think for the inner corner, well, let's do the, oh my gosh, you guys, if you know, you know, my hair is always on a journey. I am not invited. Let's open up these Super Shocks. I'm gonna try to do the Super Shocks kind of in the lower inner third of each eye, because I think that'll look really, really pretty. Oh gosh, I'm tightening that one down way too much. So there's Coconut on that side. That's the one that's the re-released shade. I think that looks really pretty, and I'm shocked it's actually still in pretty decent condition. And then this is the new one. This is called Sure Thing. The puns. The puns, Colourpop. So I would say this shadow has flecks of a gold glitter and then like a navy blue glitter within the actual like pot itself, and it does give a good reflect. You can see it here in the first third of the lid there. Alright, and then I think the last thing I'm going to do is go back in with Free Floating, which is this one, and I'm going to pop that on the inner corner on both eyes. Very, very cute. Alright, let's get some lashes, some liner on, some brows on. Oh my gosh, you guys, you didn't remind me. I need my brows. So let me get brows on, lashes, liner, and I will be right back. Alright, you guys, and this is the finished look. Let's go ahead and zoom out so that we can talk about this palette. I did want to also try to squeeze in a quick set of swatches, so let's do that now. I think what I'm going to do is actually go down each column. So I'm going to do this first column, the center column, and then the third column. I think that'll make it make a little bit more sense. So we have Just a Splash. Oh, urchins. I think that's what these little things on the cover are. Alright, you guys, so let's swatch this out. We have Just a Splash, Urchin, and what is this? Muscle Beach. That's pretty. And then we have Currents, Must See, and New Wave. Let me see if I can get a little bit better of a swatch, because holy crap. There you go. And then we have Free Floating, Flora, and Lunar. And that's your palette. Let me go ahead and swatch the Super Shock shadows for you as well. This is Sure Thing, and this is Coconut. And so that's your palette and then your two Super Shock shadows. Alright, and as you can see, I've got two different eye looks here. I managed to use every single color in the palette, and I gotta say, I really like this palette. Number one, I'm so happy there's no pressed glitters in it. You guys know I'm not a fan of pressed glitters. I've used them like once or twice in my lifetime, and the whole time I'm like, am I gonna be blinded for life by this? I don't know. So I'm so happy there's nothing in here that's like a warning or, you know, anything like that. I love the actual design of the palette. I love the color story. I love that you have a couple more like kind of minty green type tones. You have some more like bluey type shades here. This one almost feels very duochromatic, like oil slick duochromatic to like a deep purple with like a nice reflect, like an eggplant purple to blue. That's kind of where I'm getting. And then I love that these are sort of like these gray toned teals. I think together this is a really cohesive color story. You can definitely go different directions. Yes, it's all going to be teal. Yes, it's going to be monochromatic, but you don't have to have the exact same look each time, which I really appreciate. Sometimes I feel like with their, especially their pink palettes, no matter what you do, it's always just going to be like a pink look. It doesn't really ever look different. So I'm really, really happy with this palette. $14, happy to have it. The two Super Shock shadows that they included, the Sure Thing, which is the more green toned one. This is an ultra glitter one, so I think, you know, in the future what I would probably do with this one is just like rub my finger into it and then tap it above my crease to give kind of a little sparkle above the crease on the inner like third to half of my eyelid. That's what I tend to do with the ultra glitter formulas, because it deposits the glitter and not very much pigment, so you get just this really pretty like twinkle above the lash line, which I think is, I'm sorry, above the crease, which I think is very pretty. So that's probably how I'll use this going forward. This one, Coconut, is one of their Pearl Eyes, so it's more like metallic type finish, and I do think it looks very pretty on the inner corner. Again, I've had this one. This is like one of the first ones I've ever purchased. So this is, oh my god, it might even be like 5 years old. So yeah, this has been around for a little while, so I am definitely so happy that it's still in good shape. There is a video from Makeup Just for Fun on how to like keep these preserved so that they don't get like messed up, so that's something you can check out if you have older ones that you want to kind of like revive a little bit, because you may have Coconut in your collection already. It may just be a little bit dry, and she can show you how to revive it. As far as the other new things that I tried in this video, it was just the Juvia's Place bronzer palette. I definitely like it. You guys will have to tell me what you think in the comments. You know, I think it's a little bit, it's definitely deeper, of course, and so I need to use like a little bit lighter of a hand, but I think I can still make it work. I think it gives me like a nice bronzy kind of glow to my face without looking like too far off from what I should be wearing as a bronzer, so I'm not mad about that. You guys are going to have to let me know in a comment down below, what do you think of this set of eye looks, and what do you think of this palette? Are you going to be picking this palette up or either of the Super Shocks? I would definitely be interested in hearing from you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye!